For waiting. Give it a thumbs up.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 322. That's 3 and 2 of those. For June 5th, 2019, my name is Russell Frost, and I have the pleasure of being your chauffeur through this week's journey through advanced tech mobility and sustainable energy. I can tell you're excited already. I can tell. It's body language. I can see it through the camera. Oh, wait, no, that's just creepy. I just confessed that I can see everybody while we're doing the show.
Well, you can see three of us.
I'm so not even on this show anymore.
You can see three of us.
That's it. I can see you three, yeah, and you guys scare the living hell out of me.
It's a good thing I decided to wear pants today.
Better you than me. That's all I got to say. And I won't be standing up at any point during the show.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Great relief.
If I do, the desk will go up with me.
Oh.
Well, it's a power desk. It's a power desk, and I'm wearing pants.
Yeah, that's not how I interpreted that.
Well,
You're not helping yourself, Casey. Not at all.
Let's introduce our three well-endowed panelists and get this show on the road. My co-host on this show, our friend in the beautiful Midwest town of Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Hey, everybody. Yes, the weather is finally getting nice here in Chicago. And I'm just trying to pull this up as quickly as possible. And for some reason,
we mentioned the pants thing. Don't pull anything up.
Oh, right.
Stop.
Yes. No, dang it. I was looking
maybe
for,
after the show we'll do that. How's that?
I was looking
I'll be
for
done by
analytics.
then.
Hold on a second.
Oh, Tony.
Where do I can't believe I can't find it. I was going to give a shout out to some certain people who are our most recent subscribers. And now, for the life of me, I can't actually find where they list.
You're killing the show in the first 3 minutes, dude.
All right. Hi, everybody. Let's get the show on the road.
We're super professional around here.
Our friend in Canada, he's not going to take 3 minutes to say hello. Mr. Mark Coughlin.
I'm going to take 12 minutes to say hello. I got a book to read right here. We'll start with this. No, hello everybody. Welcome to the show. We got lots to talk about today.
Oh yes, we do.
As Tony searches frantically for names. So we'll see.
I got nothing.
You got nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Our friend who has quite a bit, as he was happy to admit just moments ago. So much, in fact, that he will remain seated throughout this show. Please, Mr. Casey Green.
It's a power desk. I can stand up and sit down if I want to.
Sure, whatever. I know what you meant. Yeah. Okay, are you done?
Yeah, you took the wind out of my invite.
Yeah.
That's my job. It's my only core competency, Casey. That's all I can do.
Start those show titles early, people in the chat room.
Yeah, get the show titles ready. Well, we're going to start off the news with Mr. Tony Schaefer.
So I want to do a follow-up from last week where I had stepped through the price of gas and the projection to charge EV people $1,000 a year for registration. So I have here from the Chicago Tribune. It turns out that they did not go for $1,000. Instead, they brought it down to a less price gouging $248. They've cut it back from an outrageous number to a smaller outrageous number.
They went from freaking insane to South Carolina.
Yeah. They decided not to go full ludicrous mode. And so people are looking at this and they're saying $248. There, you should be happy. Now you're not paying $1,000. So what I'm going to do now is switch over to a different thing, back to, stick with me on this one, Russell. So for those of you who don't know, Russell hates spreadsheets. And every time I pull out a spreadsheet, he's like, dude, seriously, with the spreadsheets.
I don't hate spreadsheets, actually. I like them.
Okay.
Just
So,
not as much as you.
all right. It is true, for the record. Sometimes when I can't sleep at night, I get up and make spreadsheets.
Gosh.
No, I
You have no idea. You have no idea is all I'm going to say.
yeah, no. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to stick with the numbers that I used last week, 12,000 miles, which I think is average. That's what people consider average. And if you average 35 miles per gallon, and I said this is an average sedan, you're using 343 gallons per year. Now, they did increase the gas tax from 19 cents to 38 cents. So they doubled it, which means the people are paying $130 a year in gasoline tax. And for some reason, they believe $248 is our fair share.
But you're rich. You can afford it.
Right. Yeah. You bought a $108,000 car.
Wait,
Everyone,
I thought you drove a much less expensive car than that.
yeah, well, it was a $42,000 Prius Prime, which, by the way, I paid less than $130 because what's missing on this is the plug-ins and hybrids don't have to pay $248. Plug-ins and hybrids consume gasoline and therefore are not considered full EVs and therefore not $248, which means I actually, since I buy, let's say, 4 tanks of gas in a year, and I'm paying substantially less personally. But I'm advocating for all EV owners here. Someone would have to trade in a 19 or 18 mile per gallon car or truck or piece of shit is what it would be in this case, where they were paying $38 and guzzling 267 gallons in order to exceed the $248. Not a lot of people are trading in 18 mile per gallon vehicles to go full EV. Not in my experience, from what I've seen. You may have seen others anecdotally, but this is just a follow-up from last week. Instead of 1,000, they went to 248, which you can see with these two numbers right here, which is considered average, is still almost double of what a conventional car driver is paying.
So, Tony, is this a bait and switch by the government of Illinois? Is this we're going to charge you a whole heck of a lot, and then we're going to charge you a lot less than that so you won't complain? Is that what this is?
Sometimes it feels like that, and this is not the first time that they've come out with outrageous expectations, freak people out, and then lower down. And let's face it, gasoline prices have kind of done the same thing over the years. Gasoline prices, they inch up, they inch up, they inch up. And everybody's just screaming about how high they are. And then they drop them 50 cents. And everyone's like, oh, that's so much better. Like, no, it's not. It's still higher than it was a year ago. It just feels better compared to where you were. They just set a new bar for pain and then loosened the vice a little and convinced you that feels good. Yeah. There is a silver lining. The same session where they lowered the number from 1,000 to 448, they agreed to legalize recreational marijuana.
For real?
For real, starting
Okay.
January 1st, 2020, which is next year. So $248.
Once you have a comatose population, there's no complaints.
Right. See, 248 is nothing when you're stoned.
It's a lot more tolerable. That's for damn sure.
Exactly. Yes.
Am I supposed to say something else?
No, but that's it. I mean, that's
it wasn't the same breath. It was just later on or earlier in that same legislative
right.
deliberation.
Yeah. It was not like the same. It's not the same bill.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to do this and do this in the same thing. Why not?
Now you have
Yeah.
to vote for it. $248 and weed? Yeah, you're great.
And, right? You want weed, don't you?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
gotta vote for this. You want the
Well,
weed.
And
Sorry.
they're doing the Colorado thing where they're already earmarking like tens of millions of dollars in
I'm sure,
in
right?
recreational marijuana profit for things. And if it follows the Colorado model, they'll hit those benchmarks in like 6 months.
Or
'Cause
there'll
I
be too
remember-
many and they won't make what they thought.
Yeah, this whole infrastructure, they're talking about and all of this stuff. But I remember Paul saying that when they legalized pot in Colorado, they were going to fully fund like schools and everything in 3 years, and they hit that number in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, my niece's school wasn't able to use any of their pot money because they are also federally funded. So,
Oh,
yeah.
snap.
Yeah,
Darn.
so that money came from the parents.
Well, speaking of place where pot is legal as well, let's go to Mark, who has nothing to do with marijuana, just for the record, but has a lot to do with this news story.
Yes, indeed. Canada, as
Whoa.
a nation, has hit 100,000 EVs on the road as of just recently.
Absolutely.
So it's been a long slug, but we've reached that goal. Initially, it took just about under 10 years, and they're saying that, of course, now the growth rate is going to rocket, they believe, based on what they've seen to this point. So it's going to grow exponentially from here on out if all things remain the same. What I wanted to do is bring up this chart that's showing the Q1 of 2017, 2018, and 2019 in Canada as a whole. But what I wanted to draw your attention to is the different colored spots. So in 2017, the first lower bar, you can see British Columbia is in green on the bottom, Ontario in blue in the center, and Quebec on top in yellow. And then there's a
Damn.
very thin slice.
Yeah.
That's all the other provinces combined.
It's just Prince Edward Island, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So this amount is from 1 year to the next to 2018 in the center, you'll see that Ontario jumped up, Quebec jumped up, and BC not as much, jumped up a little bit. And then finally in 2019, Quebec is way on top. Ontario has shrunk back, and
Yeah.
BC has grown double. And what this is all contributing, or what contributes to these wild swings over the year? Incentives. Every province has changed the incentives from 1 year to the next, different amounts, greater amounts, less amounts, and it affects the purchase of EVs wildly. When I got my Volt and Tesla in the 2018 era, there was a $14,000 incentive for each of the cars. Now that incentive disappeared for the province, and we now have a $5,000 federal incentive. So and that just happened in May. So basically, for an entire year, Ontario stopped buying EVs because there was zero incentive. You can see those other provinces, just a sliver at the top of each of those charts. None of them are buying at all, like very small amounts, because none of the other provinces had an incentive until this year in May. So with the swing in incentives, so goes the sale of EVs to this point in Canada. And I believe largely in other countries as well. Certainly incentives at this point, because of EVs being quite a bit more than a regular comparable gas car, incentives talk, and they continue to do so. So interesting to see that. But of course, BC and Quebec, they push further and further. They have higher incentives than they have higher sales. And that is something that, we can't be incentives all the time, but there has to be some sort of a level playing field if you want level sales. And that's something that the governments haven't learned yet. It's all over the board at this point, and people are just tracking those incentives at this point as to what they're buying or what they're not buying. So
And then you just got not just new tech, or not just the expensive, but it's also new tech. So they've got to wrap their heads around it, and people are willing to take a chance if they can see that it's cheaper up front, and then they start to do the math on it, and they're like, well, this might work for me. So
Exactly.
even the little Mitsubishi I or iMeave, or depending on what they called it under where you are, it makes a difference. I mean, that's a little shoebox car. It costs not very much, but it does cost more than any other comparable shoebox.
Right. Right.
And you can't even get it anymore.
That too.
I mean, Doug Ford. Oh, what I thought was interesting was that the provinces did grow. The other provinces, it looked like it was significant growth in this year. Seeing Quebec grow so much was pretty crazy. And then again, watching Ontario shrink. Is that just Doug Ford, or is that other
That's
things?
That's the incentive disappearing completely in Ontario.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
So the only people buying are enthusiasts.
That's right. That's right.
And I mean, we can have the discussion of why do we have to pay people to buy these cars? And the reason for that is because they pollute less than other things. And this is new technology that we're trying to get people to adopt.
Carrot and stick. You give them an incentive to do what you want them to do, and you punish them for doing the bad thing. Put that tax on the gas car, and they will switch in droves.
Or stop subsidizing the gas industry as they currently do, and put everyone on the playing field that's even. And there will be a switch naturally, because of course the gas prices will go up because subsidies disappeared for them.
Yep. Don't give them a free pass when they have a spill or a pipe leakage or whatever other catastrophe they caused this year.
And Russell brings up a point that maybe we had considered in the past. It just struck me as something new, is to switch the argument that the government is not paying you to buy an electric vehicle. They're paying you to take a gas guzzler off the road.
And sometimes they're not even paying you. You're just paying less tax.
Well, okay. But in the same way.
Sometimes it's cash. Sometimes, I think Ontario and them were giving you money back.
Okay. I was just worried about the argument that people are like, well, why does your car get an incentive? But it's like, no, it's not that my car gets an incentive. It's that I get an incentive to not buy your car.
Exactly.
Well, here's the crazy thing in Ontario is that we produce a lot of power that, similar to Quebec, that is either hydroelectric or nuclear. And there's also a mix of renewables and even a smaller mix of gas. So we've got this big mix. What we do is that overnight we produce way more than we need, because of course you can't turn off nukes. They got to produce all the time. And we end up giving or paying others to take our excess power overnight. So the Ontario Hydro Board got together and said, how can we stop this? How can we make it better? Because we're actually paying people to take our power at night. Why don't we find a way to put the power in batteries overnight? And hey, why don't we use electric cars? Everyone charges them up at night when they're sleeping. They become the battery. We don't have to pay them to take it. In fact, they pay us a little bit to use the electricity, and it just flips. And we've got ourselves a sustainable solution. So that all works great with one government, but when another government comes in and have different agenda, it all switches on its head, and of course it falls apart. So then you've got people that are not putting the incentive to get people to buy the cars to take the power overnight. You've got less people doing that, and then you start slipping the other way again. So we were on the right road, and then we've changed. So hopefully we've had enough momentum that over the next little while, more people will switch. And maybe whenever the government comes in shortly, we'll be able to switch back again. So get us back on track.
So Mark, what is the energy producer doing? I mean, are they back to paying people to take the energy?
Yeah. They will. There's less that they have to pay to get rid of, but that's still going on. To some extent, it was starting to switch the other. They could actually see it switching over time. Over the last 4 years, they could see the momentum that was gaining, But at this point, as you saw in the graph, momentum halved almost immediately.
Right. I'm just thinking of the electricity producer's bottom line.
Well, the electricity producer is the government of Ontario.
Oh, right. Okay, that's
So
good.
it is a government agency.
So they basically reduced I don't know. I just think the whole going backwards to where they were just seems absolutely counterintuitive.
It does. It does. They had such a great plan.
That happens, Tony.
Yeah, it does
Yeah.
when a different mindset comes into power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But would
Well-
you rather pay Elon Musk millions of dollars per battery, or would you rather give your own citizens a break and have them use that money elsewhere in your economy?
I don't think there's a plane of existence where I say yes to the first option.
See, you understand the mindset of the politicians. Why would they give it to a non-citizen to take out of the country?
It's not to Elon Musk. It is
Well-
to anyone that makes a battery vehicle.
Well, I'm not saying battery vehicle. I'm saying literally Elon Musk, like the Australia project. If you're not doing the cars, and nobody wants to buy your excess electricity, you got to put it somewhere, and you can't throttle down the nuke. So
Right.
I mean, you could buy your own battery, or you could incentivize your citizens to provide you with a battery.
Yeah.
In the case of their electric cars.
There you go.
Right.
Little mobile electric batteries.
Yeah.
Right. And in this case, it's not that they want to store it. They actually want people to use it. So
Yeah.
yeah. So like a big not power wall. What is it? Power
Power
the
packs.
big one.
Power pack and
packs,
mega
yeah.
packs. Yeah.
Yeah. They would fill it up like overnight and then say, okay, now what?
Well, if
Hopefully it's
you
a
were
hot
going
day.
down that road,
Yeah.
though, you would change what your output is over time.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you
yeah.
can
Try to
stabilize
balance
it
it
at
out.
a lower level. Yeah.
Right. Right.
All right. When we refill, we're only going to put in 8 rods out of 12.
That's right.
Yay! Chernobyl, a series on HBO. Watch it now.
Still need to watch that. Yeah.
Speaking of something that isn't supposed to be one of the most amazing bits of television ever, I haven't been watching it, but Tony has another story about China.
So this
Yay, China!
it's China.
China.
Did I say China or China? I'm
No,
confused.
Don't go political. Don't go political.
It's not political to
Mhm.
to use the
go
word
for it.
phrase, is it?
No, but yeah, what I was just about to say
Oh, okay.
was the deep end. So anyway, Bloomberg has an article that they say China has whole towns focused entirely on making electric cars.
Oh my God.
Well, they
And-
just built one.
Yeah, and so it says in the article that at least 20 EV towns are rising to boost manufacturing and research. So China has a history of this where the government gets really excited about something and they throw all their weight into it. And we're seeing that with Tesla's Gigafactory, where it's going up seemingly overnight. You know, it's like setting records for how it's getting built and the speed. But they are building entire towns with roads and buildings and dormitories and manufacturing complexes and stores and everything. And the reason they're building the towns is they're following what they call in the article the field of dreams mentality, and they're hoping that if they build it, people will come. And by people, it means the companies, the research. So basically, they're just trying to fabricate multiple Silicon Valleys, and this is what they're doing. And it's a crazy. It seems like just a weird sort of the government is literally building towns and saying, okay, come here and build electric cars.
So is this, like you said, they do this with other things as well, or with other ideas, but is this due to the fact that they want the entire country to turn to electric vehicles? Like, is that a mandate of China at this point?
Well, they kind of are, and I'm gonna try and share this here, and I hope it presents well. So this is a chart from the article showing how China here is blue, and how it's just growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, even while Europe kind of plateaus, and the United States hasn't grown that much. You see the rest of the world and China are just continuing to grow. And now, according to the article, they said that China accounts for 50% of EV car sales in the world. And we're here. This is 2040. This is an expectation, projection. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was crazy in the article what they had said, and I think it was Paul said last week that 99% of the taxi cabs in China are EVs.
Mm-hmm. And then some large percentage of their buses are already converted to EVs as well.
Yeah. So yeah, they're all in. They you can imagine when the Olympics were in Beijing and they had to keep people off the roads and shut factories down to mind the pollution.
Yes.
Which is still pretty out of control.
Yeah, which is out of, and on a world stage, the entire world is watching as the Olympics are being run, as marathon runners are running down the roads in one of the most polluted cities on the planet. It didn't look good, and I think that this might be one of their reactions.
So building an entire town on the infrastructure of creating EVs, that's quite a gamble.
Yeah.
That's
especially
doing multiple towns. Like that's a unseen amount. Like the scale must be staggering.
Yeah, and so I'm sharing a picture here. If you want to see something interesting, get on Google.
It's relatively clear.
And and Google Chinese, what is it? Abandoned Chinese ghost towns. And here are a few of them. China has in the past built these towns hoping that people would flock to them. And it just never took off. And so you have these perfectly paved roads, these skyscrapers, these dormitories, all these buildings. And like in this picture here, you see like a car, one car there, it looks like it's parked, one car there that's parked. But if you're a pedestrian, you can walk now.
Well, some of them were even just a jobs program. It's like, hey, we need to give these people something to do. Let's build a whole town.
When you have a lot of people, you can do things like this. When you're not blowing $1.5 trillion on a pointless war, you can do stuff like that. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that it's the smartest allocation of resources, but I think it's smarter than some of the decisions we've made.
Yeah. Are you kidding? Yes. I imagine what we could do if the United States did something like this.
Yeah, we could end homelessness. Everybody could have health care. We could put people through college.
We could restore our space program.
We could fix roads and give everybody an electric car. Or we could have a cool war. I went there. I got political. I'm sorry.
Which one's more profitable?
Or who is really the issue?
Yeah, who gets the profits? There you go.
Yeah. Who worked at Halliburton? Hey,
God. Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. Well,
so
go ahead, Casey.
I forgot where I was going with that, but it was about Chinese electric cars. So there's a reason that my car has like a ginormous air filter. It wasn't just so he could put the bioweapons button on my screen. It was so they could sell the car in China. You could take the dust mask off and breathe.
What do you have to
change back on to free it out?
You have to change the filter in China like what, once a day? You just drive around with a trunk.
For the States, it's once every 3 years. So I imagine their filter is probably a yearly deal. Yeah.
It would be nice. Well, that's all I got for regular news. I did want to talk about the Elon Musk Ride the Lightning interview. And of course, is it possible to have an episode of What Drives Us that does not mention Tesla?
No.
Oh, dear God, if only it was possible. Just give me 1 week, dear Lord.
And that's our
really
show.
busy week.
God, I should just hit the kill button right now. Just boom, done. So Ride the Lightning celebrated, was it 200 episodes?
Yep.
With a real live interview with Elon Musk. It was an hour-long audio-only interview. And given, I'm going to opinionate here a little bit, given Ride the Lightning's very much in the tank for Tesla, it wasn't a bad interview. There was no hard-hitting questions. There wasn't a lot of follow-up. And a lot of times Elon just kind of went in some other direction. But
When does he not?
there was a lot of information dispensed. Not necessarily, not all of it was brand new, but some of it was certainly interesting. So what I'm going to do, because this week's show is not about me, it's about you, the panelists. Pick one thing and tell me about it. And let's start with Casey Green.
I liked that he said that the Tesla pickup will start at $49,000.
You like that?
I like that. It makes it much more approachable than some of the competition.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
Do you like that he said it would, or do you like that it's
There's no way to
guaranteed that it will?
I would say it's probably like an 80% chance it'll actually happen, and then probably a 50% chance that you'll actually want to buy that one versus the more expensive ones that he puts out.
Okay. All right. That's a very good answer. Thank you.
And they'll make 6, and then they'll be like, nobody wants these.
Yeah,
I'm gonna cancel them.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, you would think that Tesla learned something. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean Tesla. I mean Elon. You would think Elon might have learned a lesson with the 35K Model 3, like just getting spanked by the entire globe on it. And
it hits even closer to home. I wanted to buy the Model S 40, and the week I got my down payment together, they canceled it.
Killed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost get like that's sort of reasonable. You know what I mean? But like 35K Model 3, 35, it's the first affordable EV. Not so much.
Hey, if you hung on to it and you wanted it, you could have had it.
What do you mean?
You could have had the $35,000 car if you had waited.
There was a 3-week window where you could get
Hell,
it.
I waited 26 months. I got mine.
I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that it was like, okay, we got to make some. Now we're done. You know what I mean? There's really no question. And there's also no question that for years, the $80,000 pickup truck is going to be the one that's available, not the $49,000 one. What I'm saying here is that Rivion's going to eat their lunch for a long time before Tesla actually
I
does.
don't think so. Rivion's selling their vehicle for $90,000 too.
Starting at
79.
$49,900, which is why I'm going to put forth Elon had to say his truck will be $49,000.
Yeah. It's not going to be 49. It's going to be 48,999 and 50 cents.
97. No ups, no extras. Tony Schaefer, what was your takeaway from the RTL interview?
I found it particularly annoying how he spent the first 45 minutes giving a complete history of Tesla and bringing the multiple cars out on the stage.
I think you get the wrong one there.
That's a different interview.
That's beautiful, Tony. I mean,
That was beautiful.
that was like surrealist art. That was nice.
It's also believable the amount of times that they'll just repeat the history over and over and over.
Always an origin story.
So, let me come clean on this. I didn't actually listen to the show. My favorite part of the interview is listening to Russell rant about the interview.
Thank you. I appreciate that, even if you don't mean it.
Oh, no. I thoroughly enjoy it. I mean it.
Okay, Mark Coughlin.
I liked 2 things.
Yes,
I liked when they talked about why the Model Y unveil was so subdued.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of interesting that Elon had indicated that he didn't want to take away any thunder of the Model 3 that was now just in volume production. Didn't want to be an Osborne effect on the car. The people were just going to wait until the Model Y as opposed to get a Model 3 that they could order today. So that was kind of interesting and true. They had to announce the Model Y because, of course, they already said it was going to happen in mid-March, and mid-March was at that time. So they were going to have to announce it regardless. But because of course the headlines would have been crazy if they didn't announce it. Then Tesla's going bankrupt and whatever else because they couldn't even announce a car that they haven't made yet. So it would be terrible. The other thing that was interesting was the HUD discussion on the Model 3 with Elon. And Ryan had asked if there was ever the possibility that a HUD would be installed in the Model 3. And Elon indicated that he doesn't like HUDs. So, no, we weren't going to do a HUD. And it was like, okay, well, obviously part of the real answer there might have been cost or an additional item added to the parts list of the Model 3. But just because Elon doesn't like a HUD and finds it, that's not to his liking, I think you could find a lot of people that would like a HUD. I think you could even do that today. You could still find people that would like to have a HUD. So just kind of ridiculous that he hung his hat on that answer.
Yeah, and that seemed to have gone by pretty fast. It was sort of like when you ask a really deep question and then they say no. Okay.
You don't challenge Elon in his office.
Right?
Okay. They would have never found Ryan's body. Like, we'd be like, where's the Ride the Lightning guy? What happened to him?
Yeah, he was on episode 199 and he's gone.
But come on, if any car company is going to have the coolest heads-up display, it would be Tesla. No doubt.
Well, the other thing is that people toyed with is that the Model S or X would get it first. There's no way they would introduce it to a volume discounted car before they would put on an S and an X.
Which it really isn't that much. You know what I mean? It's cheaper than S and X, but we're not talking about like a $35,000 car.
No, you're talking what, a $45,000
$45 grand, yeah, or more. I mean, it's really.
But again, as GM and Ford tell us, every cent counts once you start making more and more vehicles.
It always goes back to when I had that interview with the Volvo engineer, and he said that when they were under Ford, they couldn't use the 25-cent firewall grommet. They had to use the 5-cent firewall grommet.
Yeah, which just sounds crazy.
No,
but when you do 200,000 cars, it adds up quick.
Well, see, and those decisions are made like that by the major car companies all the time.
Yeah.
My father worked for American Motors, and he would tell me like 2 cents difference in a safety belt. Guess which one we're using?
Yep.
And it was no different there than at
the one that phrase under.
Hey, it's 2 cents cheaper. There's no like, we need our drivers. We're going to give them the extra safe one. And I get that math at some point. I do, but the other side of it is, you need your customers to be alive.
Yeah.
It sounds like your competitors could simply have a commercial that says, "You're worth the extra 2 cents to us."
But then they have to do the algebra on that to see if they can put the 2 cents in and then make it up while also
with the marketing cost and
do the marketing cost. Yes.
Increased advertising fee. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, there's money sitting on the table. I mean, I complain about Elon not getting autopilot or whatever, getting software stuff. But we got money to port Cuphead over. We have developers to do that. But hey, so your brakes are wonky. You'll do.
Oh, come on. The brakes aren't wonky.
They fixed them.
Come on.
They fixed them. No, come on.
The low blow.
That was a bumper update.
You know what? Fine, I'll own it. They delivered Model 3 with wonky brakes. Consumer Reports called them out on it, and they fixed it.
Wonky, but they were better after they were called out.
They were the worst.
No, they weren't the worst.
They were inconsistent after multiple hard braking attempts, and then they were improved the consistency.
The phrase "inconsistent brakes" should not be a thing.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
The inconsistent after multiple hard braking attempts. If you are getting in that many close calls, somebody is trying to kill you.
Then you deserve to die, is what it sounds like.
No. If somebody's doing that to you, you are somebody is trying to murder you.
So I just want to throw in David in the chat talking about how crowded it sounds like Fremont is going to get.
Mhm.
So yeah,
when
it
the
came out
Model
of
Y
there.
goes there. More strong structures.
Right, because
yeah.
they're talking about doing Model Y in Fremont. That was
And-
one of the other things that came out of the call.
And Elon even said maybe in a tent.
Maybe,
And then the rear
a
cast
strong structure.
underbody, they're going to go from 70 parts to 1 part.
right?
That was pretty
Which
impressive.
will be
Yeah.
interesting to see, right?
Right.
Which that one part, I mean, technically, if you weld 70 parts together, it's now one.
There is that, right?
Yeah,
No,
but then you
I'm
still have
just
to
kidding.
build 70 parts and weld them together, so that's a lot of steps versus
Of
pouring it in.
course.
You do it at another plant and then ship it in, and then it's just one part.
Right?
Right.
I did like the 3 minute spent on the Model X front doors and a little bit on the
Right.
Falcons.
Yes.
Right. It does. I thought the interesting thing about the Model Y discussion was that Elon's just not into it. Like, there's
I didn't get that
no
takeaway.
built-in enthusiasm.
Okay.
Like, he doesn't give a shit about it. You want to talk about the Roadster? You want to talk about rocket units and flying cars? Elon perks up. He's ready to go. But
Is
making
that because he's always in the chase as opposed to once he has it? He's always looking forward. He's on, because of course that's his job, right?
Yeah.
Part of his job is looking forward and going for the next thing.
I thought his job was reviewing every 1 in 10 pages of every expense report at Tesla. Isn't that his job?
Mhm.
That's what he said his job was.
He reviews 1 in 10, but he fills the other 9 on his own.
Yeah. I mean, my theory is Elon likes the Barnum-esque parts of this. He likes talking things up. He likes thinking of big new ideas, but the actual like yeoman's work of manufacturing 10,000 cars a week bores him to tears.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's correct too. I think he would rather dream things up. That's what he enjoys doing, and that's where his passion is. I would agree. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
everybody knows that. Anyone that has a job knows that, there's part of the job that sucks, you don't like doing, and there are other things that you would much rather do all the time.
Yeah.
I was impressed with him reaffirming once again that the Roadster would outperform every other production car. And I was confused yet again by the 2 Gs in any direction with the SpaceX package.
Allegedly. Yeah.
No, it's not alleged.
Not going to happen.
On tape.
Not going to happen.
On tape.
No, you can't say 2G in any direction.
He said 2G in any direction. It's a quote.
Yeah. Including up and down.
Yep.
Including up and down.
Yeah. No. Come on.
I want some of the shit.
Now, 2G down would be downright dangerous, but 2G up would be, I'm curious how that's going to work.
I don't ever want to know. I don't ever want to know. And the other thing that he said about the Roadster is that it's the last priority.
Yeah.
Which means it's never going to come out.
It's coming. It will come out. And it will have a SpaceX package.
It will, but it's not going to fly. Okay? It's not going to fly.
I hope it doesn't fly myself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it to fly.
It may
well,
have.
If the flight is automated, then you don't have to worry about your neighbors.
Automated flight.
Yeah, that'll work out really well for the first time.
Just what I need is Alex Choi flying around at 150 miles an hour in a Roadster. Okay.
Yeah,
sitting in the back seat, hitting the bong.
After it pulls 2G straight up, it'll land itself vertically on a barge.
I'm sure Alex would love it.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
And again, I think to that point where I was going, he talked about Ryan had asked him about the balance of the Tesla mission, and did he want to keep trying to make a Model 4 a cheaper Tesla? And Musk had responded that it is insanely difficult to make a $20,000 car. Trillions have been spent to make cars cost less and more reliable. It just, again, and I get that that's not necessarily the coolest thing in the room, and that doesn't excite him, but yeah, I almost wonder why. I think he probably regrets saying 35K Model 3.
Oh yeah, he definitely does.
Mhm.
You know, and honestly, I think Tesla would be in a better position if they were a luxury car maker.
Look at all the corners they had to cut to actually achieve it, and then all the people they had to fire, and then rehire.
That may be the case, Russell, but I know that there would be a lot less Tesla owners.
Yeah.
Yes, there would be. But I'm also willing to say that I think Tesla would be in much better financial position.
And that brings up the economic question, which is it's an open question. There is no answer, but an ongoing
There's always
debate.
an answer.
Right? Is it best to have numbers or margin?
Both.
Okay, there you go. That's it. You just solved the world's
There
problem.
was an answer.
But you know, sure, if you could sell 100,000 at a 30 to 40% markup, but if you have to sell 100,000 at 10%, or if you could sell 10,000 at 40%, which would you rather have?
Well, that gets back.
This is, of course, Russell's argument.
Yeah.
Sell fewer, but at a higher markup, and more people would be willing to pay the markup because they know that they're joining a smaller population of owners.
The constellation gets a little bigger because it's not just a matter of those numbers. It's a matter of, I don't need gigafactories on every continent. I can buy batteries, or I can have my battery manufactured. I don't need all of this infrastructure that Tesla has had to buy and spend a ton of money on. That's why I mean, I think they would be on stronger financial footing.
But look at their competitors. They are also struggling to buy batteries to make less cars. And they don't have, well, except for Nissan, which sold their Gigafactory for some who knows what reason.
Gigafactory. Oh, God. Okay.
So, yeah, except for Nissan. I mean, Volkswagen just bought one and can't fill it. And yeah, so you had Nissan. That was it. Everybody else is struggling for batteries.
If the argument is Tesla had to build the factory in Sparks, I'm going to disagree with you.
It didn't have to be in Sparks.
It doesn't have to be anywhere.
Well, to do what they're doing, it does. But like you said, if you go for the lower margin, you're going to have to be back in that counting pennies again. And
that's an article that I read that said, and I'm going to do a horrible job of paraphrasing it, but basically, Tesla's so it was saying Tesla's running on a razor thin margin to manufacture cars, and the only way to make money is to manufacture more cars, which requires raising money in order to build the infrastructure to build more cars, which is how you become more profitable. And it was this running loop, like running so fast you can't afford to slow down.
Yeah, pulling in Amazon. Exactly what Amazon did years ago.
You have to keep up production in order to stay sold.
It is not Amazon in any way, shape, or form.
Except and it's not even just production; it's sales. All of the cars they produce must sell.
Right, right. Amazon doesn't own factories; they have distribution centers.
Right,
and they've invested heavily in that. But Amazon didn't have to buy all that stuff.
That manufactured the stuff.
Yeah,
right. But
they just get a cut.
If Amazon wasn't producing warehouses and building data centers and doing all that shit they were doing with the spare money when they were making their negative profits, they wouldn't be in the position they're in today. They were investing in themselves.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. But
they were raked over the coals for it.
The question is going to be, over the next 12 months, can Tesla survive?
Yes.
With the infrastructure they have. I wasn't really asking you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's, in my mind, that's the question. You know, they have all these new products that they want to put out. They have commitments to make things in different places. And are they gonna have enough money to survive? That's the bottom line.
Yes.
And if not,
it's like you said, the PT Barnum-esque-ness of it is, if you scare the employees into thinking they must save every penny, then that extra $2 billion will last longer to add to the existing $2 billion you already had. If you let them spend with the wild abandon, you're gonna go broke. You're gonna lose both of the $2 billion, the first one and the second one.
I got nothing. On that note, Mark, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have to wait and watch time play out. We're never going to know.
Well,
we'll know eventually.
I think I put this in the chat. The only way to really find out the answer to these questions is to have Elon on and just ask him.
I think that would be awesome.
On the list of things that will never ever happen.
Who in the chat room has his private phone number?
Yeah.
Right? He'd be like, all right, I must take Russell's chair, and then I can do it.
Yeah.
I need a cheerleading session.
I got nothing. Mark, you have one more thing this week?
I do have
Oh!
one more thing. Yes,
Do it, my
indeed.
friend, do it.
This past Sunday,
Ooh.
Sunday,
were-
Sunday.
Sunday. US 30 drag strip. Oh, sorry.
we the Waterloo Region EVA was in Guelph, Ontario, the major
Guelph?
metropolitan Guelph.
Is that really a place?
Yeah, it is. Guelph is a place. And we were able to set up with 40 other EVs
Wow.
that were in the downtown core, where test drives were given, and 40 different owners talked to people about EVs and the curious and answered questions for 4 hours
Wow.
as we told people the benefits of driving EVs and how they could switch from their current situation to an EV and how it would benefit or not benefit them, depending on their situation. But they were able to learn from owners, people that actually own the cars and operate within the region that they live. So we find that really hits home quite well for people if they can find people that actually use the cars in the areas that they live, and they can trust us over someone that, say, is trying to sell a car. We're not selling any cars. We got no right to sell a car, but what we're doing is we're telling people what real world scenarios are like. So we had a great time. Lots of people out, lots of people discussion about what was going on EV wise, and we'll do it again. June 23rd in Waterloo. There'll be another one. So if you want to follow us at WREVA Group, you can see the other events as they get lined up. Please connect to us on Twitter.
I found Guelph here.
I would have spelled it wrong.
I did. Fortunately, Google knew what I was looking for. Yeah, it's here. It's to the right of Mississauga, to the left of Kitchen, and just up from Hamilton. Oh, sorry,
Tony, you
Kitchener.
being in Toronto, I thought you'd have those names down a lot better than that.
Wow.
Yes. Well, okay. So I'm surprised you're living in Kitchener and not Markham. That just
And for the folks who didn't watch the Tesla Life, the reference to him living in Toronto is when Tony and I looked up the inventory cards for the Model S. It had said that we were both in Toronto. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Because they are. Oh, wait.
All the
apparently.
way in South Carolina. I would much rather
Yeah.
be in Toronto.
so
No,
am I still
no, you're not.
I'm not showing. Okay. Because I was showing when I go to shop. Well,
There
it's
you
not
go.
showing me.
What are you
So
gonna
you do
show
you
here?
go to the home page and then you click on Model S, then you click on existing inventory.
Oh, Model S shop. I think shop new showed me up here in the upper left. New inventory Toronto.
There you go.
Nice.
That's
No
where
one
you want
knows
to
why.
be.
Yeah.
So somebody's in trouble for breaking the geolocation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Unless,
It's-
wait,
that
you know
never
what? I
happened.
wonder if those are the only 23 left on the ground at this point.
Could be.
Possibly,
Well, they
There-
just don't
yep.
show me because
I-
I'm
right? That's what they used to do. Oh, there's nothing in inventory. Order a new one.
yeah.
Oh, also today they fixed it so that if you go back to the homepage, go to order new, go to customize, and this will fix a complaint that you and Russell have had.
All right, hold on. I have screen share again.
That's right. Yeah. We talked about other countries
All right.
ordering Tesla to make a change.
So what was
Yep.
this?
All right, so go to Model S or X,
Yeah, I'm at S.
design yours.
Design yours.
Top one. Yep.
Okay. Federal tax credit.
Hold on, refreshing. Okay.
All right, so for some people, they're starting to see that this slider on the top right of the page. Oh, well, you're in Canada. That's why I changed it to the U.S.
Well, I don't know that I can. Yes.
Oh my God. I am not ordering a car on this show.
All right, so probably because we started on Canada, But a lot of people ordering from the U.S. are saying that slider is set to real purchase price instead of that garbage
Yeah.
include potential savings.
Not the estimated purchase price or
Right.
savings is now
They
gone.
talked about changing that yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why it thinks we're all in Canada, so they can continue to show us the savings.
Could be.
But that higher price has got to scare people away.
Okay, guys,
$100,000
we're going to have to wrap this up. Let's do some shout outs and go home. Mark Coughlin, let me start with you, sir.
Follow us at WREVA Group on Twitter. See what we're doing in the summer months, and connect to us there and you see what's going on. Join us if you can.
Yay! Thank you, Mr. Green.
Right.
You'll find me at youtube.com/Casey Green, KACEYGREEN.
I like to think of him as Mr. Supercharger.
That's a lot of what I got on there.
There we
go.
go.
Also EV Lifestyle.
EV
Lifestyle. How to wash your car. How to get the
Catamo
adapter to work.
Make an inappropriate joke, but I'm not going to do that.
You'll
Instead,
find very little inappropriate on that channel because it's family friendly.
Very family friendly. I'm going to go to Mr. Tony Schaefer to
shout out
on home
to everyone in the chat room. I have I have a show title here.
Good.
That is buried, and it's called Elon Needs a HUD.
There we go.
Oh, God.
Who put that one up? That's great.
Yeah, who was that? I'm not going with 0 and 0 and 0, who the show title, which I'm joking, he didn't even put it as a show title, was Casey equal right, Russell equal wrong. Let's see. I don't remember who put in he needs a HUD. But yeah, that's pretty good. I'm scrolling here and I can't
That's
find
okay.
it now.
Don't get lost there.
Okay. Also, shout out to the Robinson Media Channel, to Tevster, Mike, Perry, Jose, Sylvester, Lawrence, Mr. Simmons, everyone who has recently subscribed to our channel. We have, something like 887 subscribers now?
Or I think.
Yeah, every one of you something to us. We're small enough that we notice when people subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
And at one point last week, somebody unsubscribed, but I'm pretty sure that person was a jerk anyway. So.
We're very sad about that. We're very sad about that.
Yes. But thanks to everyone who subscribes. Go ahead and make sure that you give this video a thumbs up if you've stuck with us for 58 minutes. And if you haven't, then give it a thumbs up anyway.
Ring the bell so that you get notified, and do subscribe. YouTube.com/WhatDrivesUs. Anything else, Mr. Schaefer?
Nope.
Then I'm going to say thank you, as always, to Michael Manring for our amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. For God's sakes, go see him or buy something from him. He's a good guy. You can support this show in a multitude of ways. You can go to patreon.com/whatdrivesusshow, where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. That's less than 25 cents per show. One thin quarter. Come on. You throw that much away. Patreon.com/whatdrivesusshow. Subscribe and support the show, please. You can follow us on Twitter at whatdrivesus. And if you want to argue with the ornery person behind that, you can go to @RussellFrost. There's lots of good orneriness taking place there this week. Facebook.com/whatdrivesus. And of course, you can subscribe to us on Flipboard, where you find Tony and Philip Barclay's excellent news feed. Tons of good stuff there. If you are a Flipboard user, do subscribe to What Drives Us there, please. That's all I'm going to say, other than thank you to Mark Coughlin. Thank you to Tony Schaefer. Thank you to Casey Green. Beautiful.
I saw it. I wasn't going to do it.
And back here, I want to thank my friends at PelicanColorCase.com, because they're awesome and I buy their products. Yes, I buy their products. And I use them because I'm a photographer. So PelicanColorCase.com. That's all I got. So again, thanks to everybody in the panel. Thanks, of course, to everybody in the chat room. Love you so much. And thanks to everybody watching at home and listening. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. See you later, everybody.